Yo, what is up, Sydney? Now, I wanted to get to this question because there's been a few eyebrows raised about 3-on-3 of late. Now, for those of you who are wondering who the hell I am, well, my name's Ben Killen and I'm one of Australia's top ranked 3-on-3 players. And in light of the 3-on-3 being featured in the Olympics, there has been a lot of eyebrows raised, as I said, about what the hell is 3-on-3 doing in the Olympics? And well, look, I want to shed a bit of light on this question. So welcome to the Sydney Supersonics. I'm Ben Killen and I am part of Sydney's newest professional basketball club where we stand for more than just basketball itself. We're about everything that basketball has to offer, and we're so excited to bring 3-on-3 basketball to Sydney and put us on the map for street ball. You know, we want to get people playing, we want to activate courts, and today we're going to be talking about a very special video. I can't wait to have you all on board. Remember to check us out on Instagram, Sydney Supersonics 3x3. Join the conversation, but let's get into the episode without further ado.
Tell us a bit about what that feeling was like coming home to Newcastle last night.
It was better than Lego. It was better than Lego. It was better than Lego.
It was sort of drawn to my attention initially on the Sunday night show with Matty Johns.
It's not for everyone.
No.
I watched the 3-on-3 basketball today.
Yes.
It was boring.
I don't know why they need the 3-on-3 when we just have the regular 5-on-5.
I'm with you.
eh?
I'm with you. And smaller ball. It was just, I just couldn't get my head around
You go
it.
and speak to the IOC. I
I'll
reckon
go
you're our man,
and talk
hey?
to John Coates.
I'll give you his number if you want.
Now, I just want to firstly set the scene and say, Matty, I love you, mate. I absolutely love you. Like, with all due respect, you know, like, I feel like you are one of my childhood heroes. You and Andy, mate, the Johns brothers were my heroes growing up. I grew up on the Central Coast. I played rugby league growing up. I watched Matthew and Andrew playing every single weekend. Newcastle Knights fan through and through. You know, the Johns brothers were my heroes and continue to be my heroes. Don't watch the league as much anymore, but you know, I've kind of shifted my attention into basketball. But I want to say that I am a Newcastle Knights fan through and through. Look, I've even got my old Newcastle Knights polo shirt. I don't even know if they still make these. This would be a limited edition collector's item. The old "That's My Team" NRL logo right there. So, Matty, I love you, and it makes me sad that you said that thing about 3-on-3. And I feel like, look, the chances are it's because you haven't watched enough of the game and you don't understand what it's about. And like, I don't blame you. When I first started watching it, it confused me as well. I was like, this is boring, this sucks. But trust me, you'll get into it, and I'm going to show you exactly why.
They said I'd never make it, that my career was over. They said I was a headache, that I was too small. They said focus on real basketball, that Mongolians should just stick to wrestling, that I can't play by play.
You see what I'm talking about?
That China would never win a World Cup, that my shot looked funny. They said I was too goofy. They said I should stop modeling, stop being on Instagram. They even said I can't go platinum, that I'm just too young. They said the Dutch can't even hoop. They said stop doing this. They said stop doing that. And I let it slide. But now I'm done listening. 3x3 is going from the streets to the Olympics, and the floor is mine.
You know, Matty kind of really was like, man, why is 3-on-3 in the Olympics? He didn't like it, doesn't enjoy it. And first of all, Matty, I want to say, look, perhaps you haven't seen the right games.
As FIBA 3x3 gets ready to celebrate its 10th birthday, we thought it was time for us to bring you the 10 best games of all time. Now, we looked at a bunch of different criteria, from memorable finishes Spectacular games, high stakes, you name it. And I can't lie, we left out a lot of great games. So spoiler alert for you, get ready for a part 2 coming soon. But in the meantime, here are our picks.
Now, I'm going to show some of the greatest games on here, and we'll have some great links. But I just want to sort of put a bit of the backstory as to why, 3-on-3 really is and should be in the Olympics, and why it holds such a special place in the hearts of many. Now, it really can't be understated the purpose of the Olympics initially. When we look at what the Olympic Games was all about when it was sort of first ideated back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the idea was that it was about amateurism and amateur competition. And 3-on-3 kind of really brings that spirit back into the idea of the Olympics. Now, obviously, the Olympic Committee wants to be world-reaching and far-reaching with their sporting choices and the people that they're able to reach and get in the Olympics. And when you look at the countries that are featuring for the 3-on-3 in the Olympics, there are some of the powerhouses. Like, you had, USA just missed out on the contention, which shows you, like, man, this sport is wide-reaching. If USA is not in there for basketball, and they're clearly the best ranked country in the world, although who knows if they're going to win gold in the 5-on-5. But when you look at the countries that are in the 3-on-3, you've got countries like Latvia, you've got Mongolia in there. And Mongolia don't usually get much of a run in the basketball scene. But what we find is that 3-on-3 basketball allows for countries to kind of really refocus their energy and shine in a level of basketball where they may not have shone before. And Mongolia is a great example where they sort of invested a lot of their time, money and resources into their 3-on-3 program. And it's paid dividends for them. They're in the men's and women's for the 3-on-3. Sorry, no, not in the men's. They're in the women's for the 3-on-3. And you wouldn't normally see that in the Olympics. And so the reason why 3-on-3 basketball was there, and the reason why it should stay in the Olympics and it needs to stay in the Olympics, is for one simple reason: accessibility. That is sort of the fundamental premise when we look at what FIBA designed the 3-on-3 game for. And for those who don't play basketball, you might think that's like a bit of, I'm not sure how to best say it, but a bit of rubbish, really. And to sort of put some context behind that, I mean, if you think about basketball, typically it requires you to go into a big stadium, play in a big area, and you need at least sort of 10 players to play a proper form of the game. It's hard to organize. If you ever played 5-on-5 in a full court setting, you'll know that it's hard to share the ball around, and sometimes you can just go missing and don't get much of a touch. In 3-on-3, that is not the case. Everyone has to play. Everyone has to do everything. And that's why the sport is sort of here to stay. It's a different form of the game that allows more accessibility, not only in terms of play style and people to be able to play more and have more fun with it, but also in terms of being able to access it for countries that may not have the facilities of a proper indoor basketball court. You can play a high-level game of 3-on-3 on the streets, and that's what the whole concept of the game is. And some of the numbers that we've been running, it costs, for the cost of one indoor stadium, you can get about 500 outdoor courts, high-level outdoor courts, the Olympic standard outdoor courts, the courts that you're seeing in the Olympics. You can get 500 of those. And I say, think about how different Australia would be because of that. So, Matty, I know that you don't get 3-on-3. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The ball's smaller. The reason the ball's smaller is so that men and women can use the same ball. Plus, if you ever play basketball outdoors, it's hard to shoot sometimes. It gives you that little bit of extra control over it. And it's a really fun element once you get used to playing it. So, I hope some of the clips that we just showed show you that, wow, this sport can be pretty exciting. And I think another thing, really, this comeback clip that I'm about to show now, how many clips have you seen of a team that's been down by half of the margin of the game? They were down 20-10, and then they came back to win it before the game expired. There's no game like that where you can score a certain number of points and win the game and completely turn the whole momentum around in the space of a couple of minutes. It's super exciting when you watch the games being played down to the wire. And, in the last day tomorrow, we're going to see more of that. It's going to be super, super exciting. So really, 3-on-3 basketball while it might not make a lot of sense initially, trust me, it grows on you. As someone who has played 5-on-5 their whole life and got into 3-on-3, it's a far superior game in terms of being able to get involved and just enjoy yourself out there. And that, to me, really speaks to that point of accessibility. And I hope some of the clips that we've shared really show that. And I mean, look, some of the leaders of the world are getting behind it. You look at this clip here from the French president. I mean, he's behind it. He loves it, loves the form of it. And when you look at a city planning perspective, it doesn't require this massive infrastructure to bring basketball to cities. All it requires is courts that are probably already there, just being done up and then having some competition format brought there, like we deliver through the Sydney Supersonics. So, as one of Australia's top players and sort of who hopes to be the future of Australian basketball and particularly putting basketball on the map in Sydney and for street ball, I'm so excited to see where 3-on-3 has come in the Olympics. And I would love, Matty, if you're watching this, I would love for you to come down and get around our club. Come play a game with us. We'd love to have you on board and get you involved in the 3-on-3 side of things. I mean, if we can get on Sunday night, get Fletch Hindy down. I know you showed that clip of the basketball wrestling, and I mean, some of the 3-on-3 games can be a bit like that. I've had a conversation with some of the trainers from the various NRL clubs. And I mean, in my kind of former days, I worked as an exercise scientist, and we spoke about the fact that 3-on-3 could be great cross training for basketball, even more so than your 5-on-5, because you're having to work a lot more on agility and the actual skills and the hand-eye coordination. And in this video that I'll show here, you see that in 3-on-3 basketball, you're getting about twice the skill development that you're getting in a 5-on-5 setting. And
basketball players. In a pilot study that compared 3-on-3 gameplay in a Playmakers Basketball Development League to 5-on-5 gameplay in a comparable recreation league, the 3-on-3 players averaged twice as many meaningful offensive touches and engaged defensive plays. Meaningful touches were opportunities to execute a practice skill in a game situation, a pass against a defender, a triple threat move, a dribble move against a defender, or any shot attempt. An engaged defensive play was any time the player actively played defense, which included guarding the ball, defending the cutter, actively helping and recovering, and any defensive rebound. Standing in the key and help defense or protecting the weak side was not counted. 3-on-3 basketball players averaged 37 touches and 38 defensive plays per game, whereas 5-on-5 players averaged 16 touches and 17 defensive plays. The 3-on-3 games in the Playmakers League offered twice as many opportunities to participate, which increased learning opportunities, skill development, and enjoyment. 3-on-3 leagues such as the Playmakers Basketball Development League maximize the primary motivators for youth participation. They increase fun, improve skill development, create better challenges, provide as much or more fitness, and build more positive environments.
And that's a bit of a gross number there, but that's in terms of the research that we've looked at and the research that has been conducted. It shows that there's pretty much double the meaningful possessions, which is massive over time. And so, that's why sort of we're really excited about 3-on-3 and where it's headed. And to answer the question, like, why is it in the Olympics? Well, because it's the future of basketball. It's the thing that's going to allow basketball to be accessible to the rest of the world. It's going to allow nations that aren't powerhouses like your Spains, like Australia now, like those countries like Serbia. It's going to allow, and the USA for that matter, it's going to allow the NBA to not have all of the control of all of the top talent. And as we see, some of the teams that are in the World Tour are from places that otherwise wouldn't really be that big on basketball in the professional scene. It's allowing countries like the Philippines to field teams in the qualifiers, countries that might not have the resources to build these huge stadiums to start playing at a high level. And it allows us to travel and just connect over the fun of the game again, instead of having to worry about this formal setting where you're going into a big stadium and you can't interact with the players outdoors, and just get back to the actual essence of getting out and playing and enjoying it. And you look at the pickup culture and the street ball culture that exists in other countries, and particularly in the US, like you can go and get a street ball game anywhere. It just doesn't exist in Australia. And really that's sort of what 3-on-3 stands for. So it was a decision for accessibility. It was a decision to get the rest of the world involved and to reach more people, because 5-on-5 kind of suits the more, I guess, higher socioeconomic status countries. And that was the idea of amateurism initially in the Olympics. Amateurism was all about allowing equal competition for anyone across the world. And that is the spirit of the Olympics. And 3-on-3 represents that. It represents the spirit of the Olympics in allowing any person who can pick up a basketball to get involved in a more sort of scrappy, street, urban version of the game. And that's why I believe the Olympics is, well, the 3-on-3 should be here to stay in the Olympics. And I mean, look, all you need to do is check out some of these highlights, and I feel like you'll be sold on the game. Watch the finals, watch Serbia, and you'll see how it's just such a compelling game. And I mean, look at some of these highlights here. You've got clips of Australian legend Tom Garlepp, used to play for the Sydney Kings, coming out and winning the Asia Cup for Australia. I mean, tell me, Matty, that is not exciting. That was one of the best things I've ever seen. And we can get guys like that. Lucas Walker, just retired from the NBL, coming out and formerly Australia's #1 player, being able to have a rebirth of his career, travel the world and do exciting things. And it gives guys like me who wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to play, the opportunity to have fun with it, travel the world, and bring basketball to more people. Basketball's never been in a better place in our country. And, why not open the door up to more people to be able to play it? Because in basketball, we're losing so many players to the other codes. And that's not to say we want to take players away from the other codes, but it's like, all right, well, not everyone's going to be a pro NRL player, but we might have some great athletes who would be suitable for the NRL, but maybe they're a little bit too tall and they might be better suited to basketball, but they can't play basketball because they don't live near a stadium and it's hard to get involved with it. And so that's where 3-on-3 really plays out, and that's what accessibility means, and it's relevant for anyone and everyone. So we're really, really excited to see where 3-on-3 is going, and we can't wait to bring it to the rest of Sydney. But I just sort of wanted to do this video to give a bit of context to people about why 3-on-3 is in the Olympics. Hopefully, Matty, you're watching this and we can get you out to some of the Supersonics trainings and games. We'd love to have you on board because we're going to be Sydney's next big professional team. And we can't wait to sort of put Sydney on the map and have everyone on board with that. So, look, we really look forward to sort of seeing where we go with this. Make sure you check out the finals of the Olympics. Watch some of our breakdowns that we're going to have. We're going to be breaking down the game even further with some of the specific principles of 3-on-3 and show you why 3-on-3 teaches you stuff that you might not know in a typical 5-on-5 setting. And you really, 3-on-3 kind of bridges this gap where you've got individual skills here and then you've got a 5-on-5 game here. 3-on-3 sits in the middle, so you can learn your individual skills and then start to apply it with a bit more freedom in a game-specific context. And that is the excitement that 3-on-3 brings. Guys, absolute pleasure. Hope you're enjoying the Olympics, and we'll speak to you soon.
The American team went on to play in the NBA with Mike Henry and Alfonso McKinney. And these two teams were going tit for tat like rival siblings. You had Mike Henry straight bullying the Serbs, and Serbia responding with some of the best backdoor cuts you won't ever see. Henry and McKinney, meantime, continued to show finesse, but Mr. Bulletproof and the Maestro were hitting them up from long range. Stefan Hanna bridged the gap down to 3 points, but that's when Dushan Bullet pulled off maybe the most iconic shot in 3x3 history. I can still see it now.
Now Dushan with Henry on him. Dips it towards for the game winner. Team Serbia says the gold is ours here in Guangzhou. So Team USA forced to settle for silver as the #1 player in the world goes and joins his Serbian fans in celebration after taking gold here in Guangzhou at the World Championships.
Game over. With 3 minutes before the limit, Mr. Bulletproof with the ultimate proof that this was a perfect game, a game for the ages, our greatest 3x3 game of all time. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. If you want to watch more 3x3, what you waiting for? Click subscribe and make sure you hit that bell, why don't you?
Zogun is running on E. We'll see if Wright puts the pressure on him here. First to score 2 points wins it. Mongolia strikes first, steal. Gets it over to Garlepp. Pull up 2! Tasty! Right in the eye socket got a new gold medal winner here in Shenzhen. Garlepp, I wouldn't be surprised if he walks away with MVP. He's been a beast. Not the type that you put the head above the mantle either. So, I guess you could say it's been a good day, mate. Australia pulls it out for the men in the gold medal game. In an instant classic with Mongolia, who takes silver this year. But they got plenty to be proud about. Gold medal last year, silver.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we at the Sydney Supersonics know that 3x3 is better than Lego. And hopefully, Matty, we can get you on board to be saying the same.